Hello. It's been a while. And I wanted to do a check-in because I just passed my 2-year anniversary on Carnivore, and life has been busy and good, all good. So I wanted to just let you know some of the things that have been going on with me. I haven't been posting lately because I have my career has just exploded. I have a new book launch this month, and that involves a lot of details and so many things on my mind. But the carnivore journey still is going on with me. I've been 100% carnivore since December 28th, 2022. So I've got through 2 years. It's pretty amazing. And the changes in my life have been dramatic. One of the things that I found on this carnivore journey is it's kind of cyclical, like it runs in cycles. And that was something I wanted to mention today. It's all been fabulous. I started out trying carnivore as a elimination diet where I was having a lot of stomach issues. And I thought if I try this for a month, then I maybe can start adding back in a few things. And so the dramatic changes in me in 2 weeks was absolutely astounding. Just in 2 weeks, my anxiety level went way down, like 25%, which is a 75% improvement. And I couldn't believe it when I realized that my emotions were attached to my carb addiction, which I didn't even know I had a carb addiction back then. When I found out my emotions were being positively affected by the carnivore diet, I decided to go on and not stop after 30 days. It was just so dramatic. I was sleeping better. I felt calm inside. I was no longer prowling through the kitchen at night looking for something else, and I had no idea what, because nothing satisfied me. So I thought I would live with that struggle and that suffering for the rest of my life, and it went away completely. Effortless. And the other thing was I was feeling so satisfied with what I was eating. I wasn't hungry. I didn't have those cravings. I was just good. And I enjoyed my food tremendously, and I still do. My friend invited me over for dinner um, with her and her son, and she said, we're going to be cooking steaks because she knows I eat meat. And I'm like, how can I turn down a steak? My favorite. So yeah, I love the food I eat. And I do branch out a little bit with trying some carnivore recipes. Like I discovered a carnivore um, cheese biscuit, and it's made with powdered pork rinds, cheese, and eggs, and a little baking powder, and it puffs up just like a biscuit. It's a little bit rubbery and denser than a biscuit, but it's amazing. And I can use that and make egg sandwiches. Put a fried egg in there or a piece of meat in there, and it's amazing. I'm loving it. And they hold together. They don't break apart. And so if I want to eat one with my carnivore soup, which is basically bone broth with some chopped roast in it. I make a roast and chop that up and put it in my bone broth. That's my stew. And I can actually crumble those pieces of that biscuit and put it in there, and it becomes like a dumpling in the stew. So, there's some things I've done that, give me a little variety. But I say for a better part of a year, I ate hamburgers because I love them. And I found out that if I mix 50-50 ground beef and ground pork, I like the texture better because the pork adds a little more juiciness to it, a little more flavor to it. So when I buy my ground meat now, I buy a pound of hamburger and a pound of ground pork. And when I get home, I mix them together and I form patties and I freeze the patties. And that works great for me because I live alone. I can pull out one of those patties. Now they're hefty. They're probably 8 to 10 ounce patties, or maybe 12 sometimes. And sometimes I can't eat it all and I'll just put it in the refrigerator for later, but that's a meal. One of those patties is a meal. And so, yes, I'm still carnivore. I got off coffee. It was the best decision I ever made. And as that being said, I lost about 50 pounds, roughly 50 pounds. I do not get on the scale all the time. It was too emotional for me. Eventually, I threw my scale in the trash. I didn't want that temptation to step on the scale because the scale is not what I have as my goal. I feel good. I look good. I wear a medium shirt where I wore a large shirt for 40 years. Ever since my twins were born, they just had their 40th birthday. 40 years I wore a large shirt. I'm now in a medium and feeling comfortable. So yes, I have gone down, in size. I've lost about 50 pounds, but then I gained 10 back without changing anything. All of a sudden I gained back 10 pounds. I'm not any bigger. I didn't change the way I'm eating. And I think I'm gaining muscle and bone density. That's the only explanation. Nothing else has changed. I'm still in my small clothes and I'm actually feeling more comfortable in them than ever. So there's a lot of changes going on that I haven't explored because this is just my opinion. But I think those tests contain radiation. They contain a lot of other elements that we don't want. That's not good for us. If I don't need tests, I'm not going to get them just to be curious and find out and put things in my body, and they put dyes in you and all kinds of different things. No, I'm not going to do that. I feel good. I feel really good. I have high energy. My mind is clear. I'm launching a new book this month in January, and it's called How to Write a Novel That Sells. That's book number 46 for me. So yes, I'm a career writer, and I'm more excited about this book than I've been for any book for a long, long time. So my career is going on. I have a podcast, and my podcast is ramping up, and that's why I haven't been on this channel very much. I'm really focused on the podcast. I'm doing more interviews, talking about sponsors. I'm having a meeting with a potential sponsor, and things are going fabulous for me. So, I'm over 60, and people ask me, well, what about retirement? Are you freaking kidding me? My life is just so amazing, and I attribute it to this way of eating. I am feeling healthy, clear. My body is pain-free for the first time in many, many years. I used to have pain in my knee, off and on all the time, but not for a long time. And so many improvements in my health. And of course, my stomach issues disappeared. Everything is going so incredibly well. That being said, I had a hip issue about 2 months ago where I woke up one day and my hip was hurting. Now, I have to say, we had 4 hurricanes where I live. I live in the Big Bend area of Florida, and we had 4 hurricanes in 11 months. So 3 of those hurricanes came directly across my house. One of them went a little bit south. We still got a lot of it, but we didn't get hit directly again like we did before. And the third one really was the one that was so devastating to my property. I had a tree. It was a tree with 2, it was solid at the bottom and had 2 trees coming up out of it. and those two trees hit my trailer. And I live in an older mobile home. Thank God I do. It's very sturdy. This thing is like a tank. And my porch disintegrated. The tree hit the opposite end of the trailer, and I had so much, to deal with there, broken windows, stuff like that. And so as a result of that, and just to give you the, end of the story there, my trailer was not damaged. It was a little warped because now my front door doesn't open quite as easily. My porch was gone, and very thankful to my neighbor who came over and helped get that cleared away. So now I can get in my front door. And I'm not going to spend a lot of money fixing this trailer. I have a plan to build a house on this property. So I don't want to put a lot of money in here when I'm going to be investing, across on the other side of the property. But I was dragging branches, so many branches, dozens and dozens of branches. The back lot where there's a big pile of branches from all the hurricanes. I have 3 pecan trees. They have very few branches left on them. I mean, that pile keeps getting bigger and bigger every time there's another hurricane. We got more to drag, And so I was picking up, the end of those branches and hauling them back there to the burn pile. And, a lot of times I was twisted and pulling, and I'm not used to that kind of, action. My body's not used to it. And it wasn't for maybe a week later, a week or a week and a half later, I woke up one morning and my right hip was really hurting. It was aching, like a dull ache. It was really bad. I continued on. I went and, I had a book table thing that day. I went to that. I was struggling. I had back issues in the past. When I was younger, I had twins, mentioned my twins, and I ended up with back issues permanently from that, which I say permanently. I was in constant pain for 10 years. And then, for 20 years or so, I was watching my back constantly to make sure I didn't hurt it. Well, I haven't had that pain, for a while. Before Carnivore, actually, that went away through exercise. Certain exercises to strengthen my back helped me with that. So I know about back issues. And when I felt it, I thought, I wonder what that is, because that feels like it's a thing. It isn't just a passing achiness from doing something, from exercising or whatever. And so I went on for about a week, and I was wondering if dairy was doing it, because I only eat whole cream things, whipping cream, sour cream, and cream cheese. I do eat butter, but those are the only dairy. Well, I do have a little cheese, but once in a while, not all the time. And so I cut out all dairy because I know dairy can be causing inflammation. It took about a month. Eventually, I did go to the chiropractor, and a chiropractor was my best friend back in the day. I've lived here for 2.5 years, never been to a chiropractor here. I lived in Arizona for a year before that, never went to the chiropractor there. So I think it must be at least 4 or 5 years I've been to the chiropractor, probably longer. But I thought, you know what? I think something is going on here. And it was. That right hip was badly torqued. And he did one adjustment. And he said, you probably need to go back. Well, in my past history, I would have needed to go probably for 2 or 3 months. I went one time, and it was still aching a little, but I could tell a big improvement. And so I just stayed off the dairy and did some Epsom salt soaks and things like that. And you know what? That thing went away. Haven't had it back since. But I believe, and this has been my experience, that every 6 months or so now at this stage, used to be about every 3 months, when your body is coming back into healthy, because the healthy part of our process, it's layers, right? We clear this layer, and then we go down until we can address the next layer. Sometimes that could be fat that we are dissolving, the next layer of fat we're dissolving, because fat has toxins. It could be clearing out heavy metals. I mean, I don't know about carnivore, particularly in heavy metals, but I know that we do have heavy metals, and the body will throw it off if we get to a certain level of clearing and, clean eating and all that. Who knows? I don't know, but I believe there was something there that was being shed off. And maybe I had some toxins in that residual hip area because, old trauma from my twins long ago. And of course, that takes me to the other side of my life, which is the body knows. The body stores emotions, stores trapped emotions, stores trauma. I am a hypnosis practitioner, although I don't have a practice at the moment, but I am trained in that and trained in medical hypnosis. And I know that trauma affects various areas of the body. And as I was working, pulling the branches, dealing with the aftermath of the hurricane, and there was PTSD involved in that, I felt shaky for probably 2 months after that hurricane, that one where stuff hit my house. I was just so glad I wasn't home at the time. I had left. I always leave when there's a hurricane. I'd rather come back and see what happened rather than go through it and experience. Can you imagine a tree falling on the house and window broke out and all these different things? And being in the house, that is to me terrifying. So yeah, that right hip. And I remember back when I was in school and I was a young girl, that hip would bother me from time to time. And I did go to the chiropractor in those days. So yeah, we shed different things from the body as we are clearing, because the elimination of chemicals, is part of the carnivore journey. We eat food that is just one ingredient. So, it's meat, it's eggs, and so forth. And maybe salt, like butter is cream and salt. So as we go through this clearing process, rejuvenating process, and I have to say, I feel younger and look younger than I have for a long time, then we are going to also have to clear out the residual stuff, the detritus, the trash that may be hiding in the muscles, in the fascia, in the organs, various organs, both from chemical residue and trauma. And also, who knows, I might have had, a virus hanging out in my hip or something else. We don't really know. But I do know that I feel more loose in that area of my body now than I ever did before. And there's one more thing also that I did, and that is recently in the last 2 months or so, 2-3 months, I got a vibration plate like Bill Knott talks about in his videos, the vibration plate. I went and ordered it off Bill's link, by the way. It took a while for it to get here. It took, around the world to get here. I think it came from California, and then it was here and there and everywhere. And I mean, it took a while for it to get here, but wow, that has made a tremendous difference in my life as well. I have had sluggish lymphatics in my legs, particularly, and this is genetic. My mother had the same thing, and her siblings and my siblings, we all have the same thing. It's heaviness in the legs where the lymphatics are sluggish and things aren't moving very well. But standing on that has been amazing. Now, I got that as a result of the hip injury, but it didn't get here till I was pretty much over the hip thing. But one time standing on it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is my new best friend. And now I'm on it 2 or 3 times a day for 15 minutes a piece. I love it. It just makes me feel so much better. And when you get it, they send you this big card with all these different positions you can use it for and all this stuff. I absolutely love it. If I had not been on the carnivore journey, I would not have felt well enough or stable enough. I used to have vertigo issues and balance issues, getting in and out of the car, going up the stairs. I always had balance issues, but I don't have that anymore. And I can stand up. I started out sitting down with my feet on it, like Bill does. And then I said, I'm going to stand up and see how this goes. And guess what? I can do it. So yeah, all is great. It is great here on the carnivore journey. And I was just in a summit about talking about my testimony of what carnivore has done for me. I was in the Quit Sugar Summit last year, and then I was in a nutrition summit just recently. I'm still talking about carnivore, and I am still doing it, and I am still loving it, and I'm still talking to friends about it when it's an appropriate conversation. I'm not crusading. I don't, I believe that people are not going to change till they're ready to change. And so I just open that door, and when they're ready, they come and ask me about it. That's basically what I'm doing. And as I have things come up, I will be back here as well. So I just want to thank you so much for sticking with me. And if you are a writer, if you write fiction, check out my other channel called The Fiction Writers Podcast, The Fiction Writers Podcast with Lana McCara. Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye.